Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Jake, and I just got back from Pixar's latest film, Onward. Let's talk about it. So, Onward is the latest film from Pixar, directed by Dan Scanlon, and it's essentially a story, and you've seen this in the trailers. It's a magical world that technology kind of takes over. Magic is sort of a thing of legend, and these two brothers, one of which has met their dad before they died, and one of which was born after the father died, get a chance to see their dad again for one day and one day only. And so it's a movie about the adventure of them trying to bring their dad back with this forgotten magic. And I have just got to say it, I really, really loved this movie. A part of it was kind of not so great. I really, really loved the first act, and I really, really loved the third act. The second act had some pretty good moments, but it felt a little bit slower to me. But overall, you guys, this movie is so, so good. I had tears in my eyes 3 separate times. This movie is an emotional, hard-hitting movie about the relationship between siblings and fathers and even the mother. This family dynamic, and it really, really resonated with me. And it flows kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. And I don't know if you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, but I'm been playing for a few years. I'm kind of a D&D nerd. And this movie references D&D quite a bit. Chris Pratt's character, Barley, is obsessed with this game that's essentially D&D. He's got all of his dice and his little minifigs and stuff, and he references it, and that's sort of the way his mind works the entire time, is how would this work in a campaign, and that's the way he makes his decisions as they go on this adventure. So that was really, really fun for me to watch. And the relationship between Tom Holland's Ian and Chris Pratt's character was really, really, really good, and that was what made the movie for me. There's so much heart in that relationship, and they conveyed it so, so well. Towards the beginning of the movie, they could not be more different people. Ian is a very kind of introverted, scared, timid, younger kid, whereas Chris Pratt's Barley is super bombastic, and he's not afraid to be who he is, and he's just out there and outgoing and super loud, and he's getting into trouble, and it's like they're very, very different people. So throughout the movie, as they go on this adventure trying to bring their dad back, they start bonding more and more and more. And watching that grow and happen on screen was incredible. The performances were very good. It's an animated movie, so we're talking about voice acting here. So there's not a lot you can really, really latch onto. But I thought, Tom Holland and Chris Pratt in particular did a very, very good job with the voices. And even some of the other voices were solid. There was never any moments where I was like, oh, I don't know, that felt kind of weird. It all felt really, really good and natural, just like we'd expect from a Pixar movie. And I want to briefly touch on the world in general, because this is such a fun world to jump into. It reminded me a little bit of Zootopia, where if you remember in Zootopia, they had all sorts of brands and stuff that you kind of recognize, but it was all animal themed because that was that world. This world has a ton of things built out in it with mythical brands. I saw Trollex instead of Rolex, little things like that, and I was constantly trying to pick up on these little references and brand names and cool stuff within the world. The animals, we saw in the trailer, unicorns are essentially stray cats or dogs, something they're really, people avoid them. The centaur is a police officer. So there's all sorts of cool stuff. The manticore is running the bar. And so watching that world and how these magical, mythical creatures would act in our world today without magic, and they're just normal people who don't have any crazy powers or anything, and they're just living their life. They're on their phones, they're driving cars. That whole concept to me was so, so cool and so well executed that I would recommend seeing it just for that alone. Luckily, though, you don't have to see it for just that part of the movie and just the world building, because this movie has so much heart. It is such a good, wholesome tale And they touch on really, really real subject matter, just like the best Pixar movies do, where, you know, this is a family movie. It's something that kids will enjoy, but adults can get so much out of it, and it affected me on an emotional level. And on top of that, the movie is just a ton of fun. This is a super fun adventure film. From start to finish, this is an adventure film. And like I said, it plays out kind of like a D&D campaign. You know, they're going from point A to point B. The campaign, the quest, even starts out in a tavern, which a lot of campaigns do. So that was super cool. And, you know, they move on from point to point to point, and they go through and they're solving puzzles and stuff. This is a really, really fun movie with lots of action and chases and adventures. Battles. You know, there's lots of stuff like that, puzzle solving. So if you like adventure movies, you would like this movie as well. Overall, you guys, I love this movie. If you like adventure movies, if you like, you know, stories about family and relationships and like sibling bonds and stuff like that, I cannot recommend that you go see this movie enough. Bring your whole family. It is really, really worth your time. Now, I know they had a screening for this last weekend as well, and now it's out publicly. So have you had a chance to see it Onward yet? Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up by hitting that like button. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to be the first to know when I upload a new video. You can also find me on Facebook and Twitter at Press to Play OK. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.